Hey hello guys, welcome to WIKI VOX channel where the search for the truth begins. What is happening in the India-China border? This video is a recap of events and news from this week. China is now feeling the full fury of India. In Chinese media such as Global Times, CGNN, they are all speaking about India. The Indian army did give a strong and fitting reply to the Chinese army for incursions into our territory. Arunachal Pradesh Congress MLA has accused the Chinese government. He has said that the Chinese army has abducted 5 locals or fishermen from Arunachal Pradesh. American president, on the other hand, has said that the India and China border dispute is very nasty, would love to help. America wants to poke its nose into the border dispute. Our defense minister visited Russia. Rajnath Singh had a meeting with China's foreign ministry and the defense minister of China. The meeting extended for more than 2.5 hours. For the first time after several months, India and China's ministers had a face-to-face conversation. The Chinese media keeps accusing India. The reason is whenever the Chinese army is facing a failure, that failure is a failure to the CCP regime. Xi Jinping is not only the president of the CCP but the leader of the PLA army. One thing is sure guys, Xi Jinping is the one who leads the army. You guys could have known, in communist countries the army will rule or lead the country. So depending on the army's strength, the regime will be powerful and the people will fear it. So if the power of the army drops, the president may lose his position or maybe his head also. China's Global Times has said that our SFF Special Force is only cannon fodder. They have made a mockery and humiliating comment in their media. The Chinese media is saying that India feels threatened by China. So if our Indian army hits the Chinese army and shames them, then it is like hitting Xi Jinping in his face. The press is calling it race to the passes. Do you guys know the rule the Indian government has given to the Indian commanders on the ground? It says that they will have full freedom to use any instrument for tactical operations. Our Army Chief General Narveen has said that the nation can count on us. This is a strong and a confident statement. So, the Chinese army arrived in Blacktop. Tents were built in the location, so the Indian army acted quickly and sent the SFF to the Blacktop. The Chinese army has laid minefields. The mines explode, killing one of our SFF soldiers. In his funeral, the Indian and the Tibetan flags were raised by many army soldiers. The clash in Ladakh leads to nearly 30 Chinese soldiers injured by the Indian army. The injured soldiers are in a critical situation, says the Tibetan media. Where is the Global Times now? The Global Times will never speak about the injured soldiers or the dead soldiers from the Galwan Valley. They will keep on accusing India. Rajnath Singh is on a roll guys, really. Rajnath Singh says that if any country tries to occupy Indian territories, then there is a possibility of a World War III. Rajnath Singh has warned the Chinese officials to their face that China is responsible for the border dispute. The Chinese officials, of course, they refused and said that India was the reason behind the border dispute. Now another meeting took place. Rajnath Singh met with the 3 countries' defense ministers. The 3 countries includes Kazakhstan, Turkestan, Uzbekistan. Do you know the importance of these countries guys? Because these countries surround China and Pakistan. So if there is a possibility of a war, if we are allied with these 3 countries, it would be a great help to India. There is an important sector called the Sushil sector which has the Spanger Gap. There is a lake near the gap called Spanger Lake. One part of the lake is occupied by China in the 1962 war guys. The Chinese army occupied Angong So Lake in 1962 war. From that region, LAC is 3 kilometers away. Remember this, the Indian army has to go into 3 kilometers of Chinese occupied territory and they have taken control of the Pangong Lake region. The Indian army has control over the Spanger Gap. They have stopped the Chinese occupation and advancements into Indian territory and recaptured our lost territory during the 1962 war. This is a great achievement by the Indian army, but somehow the media is not covering this news. The Indian people must know that the Indian army has doing a lot for them. The Indian army has been sacrificing a lot for them. The Indian army is suffering a lot for them. the Indian people has to celebrate in the streets and has to pay their respects to their Indian soldiers. Nearly 3,488 kilometers of border India shares with China. Our soldiers are protecting us day and night by standing watch. This is not an easy task. Guarding 3,488 kilometers border is not an easy task. Our salute to our brave Indian soldiers who are protecting us. India has recaptured 30 to 39 of these mountain peaks, guys. This has been done after so many years. Both countries, China and India, are mobilizing their armies in the border. India has mobilized nearly 10,000 to 20,000 Indian soldiers in the Ladakh region. We need to understand the three reasons which are given by China for the incursions. The first reason is China wants to destroy the economy of India. Our GDP has gone down minus 23.9 due to the coronavirus pandemic. You guys know where coronavirus originated from. The reason for the GDP drop is China. The virus spread from Wuhan province. This pandemic is the main reason behind the GDP drop of India. The second reason is the pressure applied upon India to make military decisions. Whether it's army, navy or the air force, we are losing money when we mobilize our army. When our GDP is down, we are spending more money on the army in this pandemic. China is deliberately doing this to India. The third reason is China is turning Pakistan into an enemy of India for its own selfishness. Pakistan Chief of Army, just a comedian guys, he's just given a comedy statement that an open warning to India, stating it will win the next hybrid war against India. Yeah, you can try, but you will fail. India has said that Pakistan plans to infiltrate 400 terrorists into J&K. So when India is concentrating on dealing with China, Pakistan, who is dumb, is planning to infiltrate 400 terrorists from the other side. So these are the three reasons how China is acting against India. How are we as a country going to deal with this crisis? We are right now engaged in defeating the Chinese in the economy as well. Companies like Samsung and Apple are closing their doors in China. PUBG Corporation has said that it is going to break their ties with Tencent Games and it will belong to the South Korean company. This is a strong economic loss for China. The next comes the border dispute. In Ladakh alone, nearly 30 to 35 mountain peaks are under the control of the Indian Army. So to supply our soldiers, a convoy has to be sent. The convoy takes nearly 10 days to distribute the goods and get back. Whether we are spending time or money, India is doing it now. We don't want a war with China. If China keeps on provoking India, India will be armed and ready. Previously, we discussed Rajnath Singh visited Russia. After that, he went to Iran. Our foreign minister Jai Shankar, who was supposed to visit Russia, changed his plans and went to Iran. He meets with Iran's defense minister. He speaks about the 25-year deal Iran has with China. He has also informed that India is ready to begin phase 2 of the work for Chabahar port in Iran. He has asked Iran to reduce its relations with China. All this has been done to reduce the domination of China. Recently in the internet you could have seen a photo where 40 Chinese soldiers were provoking 2 Indian soldiers. They had these ancient looking weapons and they were hiding their guns. China has lied to the world and that Indian soldiers have used firearms against them. So in this image we can clearly see their guns. The Chinese are terrible liars. Recently, the many regions, the mountain heights which the Indian army has occupied, when this happened, the Chinese army retreated from Moldo mountain heights. This height is near the Spanger Gap. The Indian army has already occupied the Spanger Gap as we know. The Indian army's next target might be Moldo. If we want to safeguard our army, we need the Indian Air Force. Rajnath Singh and France Armed Force Minister arrived in Ambala to take part at the Rafale induction ceremony into the IAF. This is a setback to China. Rafale jet fighters are offensive jets. They are not defensive jets. These jets can destroy targets which are 169 kilometers away. India and France are now allies. These kind of actions will only hurt a little bit for the dragon, as the mighty dragon has its GDP at its peak. So India has to hit the economy of China. The latest news states that India is becoming the largest exporter of weapons than China. Nearly 700% of growth has been witnessed by India in defense reports, guys. Nearly 700% growth. India right now is taking orders from various countries to export weapons. This move will improve India's economy and many companies may come to India, bringing along many new technologies. This might hurt the dragon. Now let's discuss Japan. Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has declared he will step down from his position. But before that, there was a virtual meeting between India and Japan on 10th September 2020. We know that Japan will never betray India. Now both countries have come to an agreement that they will share air bases and ports for our logistics or refueling. The next news is India, France and Australia. The foreign ministry of these countries had a virtual meeting. They were discussing their move in the Indo-Pacific coalition against China. The shocking news that nearly 87 companies are going to move out of China and the Japanese government is going to fund these companies for the move. Nearly 1,270 companies have sent their request to the Japanese government. This is a huge setback for China. Then comes Israel, America and India. They are going to develop the 5G network. China is using this 5G network through Huawei throughout the world. To compete against China, these three countries have decided and allied to defeat the dragon in the 5G network business. Now, the allied countries of India are ready and standing with India. When China oversteps its authority, then we have to invite Australia, France, Israel, thus giving a big and fitting reply to China. In this time, CRA Isthmus issue. Based on this, Thailand will join our coalition. The Philippines may take our side. The EU started its dislike of China. All EU countries have started to oppose China. India is on the right path. If we do this properly without war, we can win against China. Sun Tzu strategy of war is not meant for China, but it is meant for India. Another news. We don't really depend on foreign-made fighters or jets. Our indigenous LUH, light utility helicopter, has been stationed in the border. The upcoming for the Indian Army: HAL LCHS, Tejas Mk1A, HAL HJT36, Tapas UAV, APA-GS, Kalyani ULH. These are all made in India. In the upcoming videos, we will share the details about these upcoming for the Indian Army. This video is not news but connecting the dots. Connect the dots and you will learn the truth. Comments about this video are most welcome. Please do subscribe and share for more content to WIKI VOX, the voice of Tamil Pokisham. Please do give a like and please do click on the notification icon. Nandri, Vanakkam.